Hi, so we're going to talk about the else if statement. So we use else if statements when we want to address multiple conditions and we want to chain the statements together so that we can have several lines for multiple conditions. For example, let's take this example. Assume we want to compare a number to see if the number is bigger than, for example, bigger than 15. We'll find out whether the number is bigger than 15 or the number is smaller than 5, or another is if the number is between 5 and 15. So we're going to see if we can create this function so that it addresses whether the number is bigger than 15 or the number is smaller than 5 or the number is between 5 and 15. So to do this, we are comparing with three separate conditions. So it means we'll start with the if statement. Let's start with the function instead. So let's create the function and we'll call our function as usual my func, just that way. And I'm going to now create the if statement inside. I'm going to say if. So the first condition is that we're going to compare num whether it's bigger than 15. So I'm going to put the num here, num, and I'm going to do that here, num. So if num is greater than 15, that way, then run this, return this line, and I'm going to say return. It's going to return this string, and it's going to say bigger than 15. And next, so this way I'm going to use the else if. Remember we used else, but that's going to be the last when you're addressing the last condition. So this is the second condition, so I'm going to say else. So if, I'm going to open another condition, so I'm going to say if the num is smaller, so smaller than 5, so I'm going to put 5 there. So this is going to be another if statement, so I'm going to return. And then finally, the last one, I'm just going to say else. So that's what we're left with, because if num is not greater than 15 and num is not less than 5, then num has to be between 5 and 15. So that's why we just have else. So else return. So remember, we need to call the function, and I'm going to log that out, the results. And now we can see that it says between 5 and 15. So 10 indeed is between 5 and 15. So let's choose 5, for example, and it says between 5 and 15. So let's choose 4, save, it says smaller than 5. Let's choose 20, and it says bigger than 15. So this is how to use the else if statements within the if statement. So let's check out the task we have. So the first task is convert the logic to use else if statements. So we have this function. Let me just open that up. Let me console log this to just be sure that this function is working. So if I save that, it says between 5 and 10, which is true. So if I make this 20, and save. It says greater than 10, so it's working. So simply what we'll do is to chain it with the else if statement. Else if, then that is just as good as taking this, that's this one. So else if, so I'm going to remove this line and leave this. So else if value is less than 5, return smaller than 5, then we'll close it with the else as usual. Else, so see, it's still working. Greater than 10, let's make this to 4, smaller than 5. See, so that's done. So 2, it says write chained if else if statements to fulfill the following conditions. So it's saying number should be less, if number is less than 5, return tiny, number is less than 10, return small, number less than 15, return medium, number less than 20, return large, number greater or equals to 20, return huge. So let's do that. So basically we'll first create the function so that we can run that. So my func, and let me just do that. So remember, we're going to take the number parameter, then we want to use the if statement. If, and I'm going to say number is less than 5 in this case. So if that's the case, then we're going to return the string tiny that way. Then we'll do else if, because we have more conditions. Else if number is less than 10, so we're going to return small. So small. The same thing, else if number is less than 15, we're going to return medium. That way. Then second to the last, else if number is less than 20, we're going to return large. And finally, we'll just say else, then we'll just say return huge, because that's the only condition left. Huge. So we'll run the function and we'll put that in console.log, so that we can just see that and save. So num has to be a value, so we'll just make that 10, and it says medium, and we can see it here. It says it's less than 15 is medium, and small is less than 10, so in between is going to be medium. So let's try 29, huge. Let's try 4, tiny. So we've been able to solve that. So that's simply how to use the else if statement to chain the multiple if statements.